Alloy 7.
What's up, fellow gamers? B Chambers from Alloy7.com with our very first video review using our new gamer category review system. What's the gamer category review system? Glad you asked. In short, we've created several categories that we feel capture the unique playstyle preferences we all have as gamers. We then use these categories to tell you what you may or may not like about a particular game. For more detailed information about the system and to find out what categories apply to you, click the link that's on screen now. Today I'm reviewing Doom and Destiny, an Xbox indie role-playing game from Benjamin Ficus and Heartbit Interactive. At its core, Doom and Destiny is an old-school RPG mixed with a few modern-day conventions and supported by what I felt was an overall excellent presentation. In general, I felt Doom and Destiny catered very well to 3 of our categories, gave an honorable mention to 1, and then fell short in 2 others. So let's talk about the 3 categories of gamers who I believe will really like this game. First up, we've got the bookworm category. Bookworms are the type of gamers who love a great story, and if that's you, I highly recommend you give Doom and Destiny a go. Ficus and crew put a lot of effort into writing and delivering what I felt was an excellent satire of just about every RPG cliche ever made. Doom and Destiny is an obvious play on the Dungeons & Dragons franchise, except that it's absolutely not meant to be taken seriously. It gives us a refreshing break from the overdone friends come together to save the world scenario. And where most games fail at adding humor only to come off as corny or contrived, I believe Doom and Destiny succeeds with their blatantly sarcastic approach. The banter between the characters is excellent, some of the jokes are crude and sometimes the game tries a bit too hard to be funny, but the overall sarcastic tone is still enjoyable. And while poking fun, the story also pays homage to the old school in ways that I don't want to spoil in this review. Just be sure not to pass up the opportunity you get early in the game to go see the Bright Warrior Museum. On the negative side, be aware that there's several spelling and grammar errors in the text. There's never a time where this ruins the plot because you can infer what's meant in the context. But for a game that relies this heavily on story and delivers that story through text, it's definitely noticeable. So next up we have the Explorers category, and Explorers love freedom. They want to experience the world, the plot, and be able to develop their characters at their discretion. Doom and Destiny caters very well to Explorers mainly because it employs the famous world map that so many of us RPG fans love. Further, it doesn't take long before the game makes the world map available to you. And as you'd expect, if you venture out far enough, you can find good loot, distant towns selling more advanced skills, and more powerful enemies to help you develop your characters. Next, I want to make quick mention about the Visualist category, and as their name suggests, Visualists are all about great visuals. And Doom and Destiny is proof that graphics don't need to be photorealistic to be beautiful. The graphics here are definitely old school, but they're well drawn. The use of color and light is outstanding as well, and that's something you don't always see in Western RPGs. This brings us to the audiophile category, and as I'm sure you've guessed, audiophiles are all about sound. The audiophile category is also the honorable mention I spoke about in the intro. Folks looking for a great soundtrack are going to find Doom and Destiny to be a mix of excellent but also passable tracks. This is no Shenmue or Chrono Cross in the sound department, but it's worth noting that a few songs may potentially bring joy to our audiophiles out there. Leading off for the categories where Doom and Destiny fall short, you have what we call builders. Builders love to customize and develop characters and other elements of their games, but unfortunately customization in Doom and Destiny lacks depth. You're only allowed to put limited stat points per every level that you gain into the typical strength, dexterity, and intelligence characteristics, things along the lines of Castle Crashers. The one plus worth mentioning is the game's use of the grit characteristic, which raises defense and critical hit percentage, but more importantly it allows you to gain more XP in every battle that you encounter. But outside of the normal stat boosting, the game gives you access to skills for each character's class via shops. Money's plentiful, so you don't have to worry about not being able to acquire these skills, but unfortunately you have to level and gain what's called power points to be able to activate these skills in battle. Ultimately, I felt like the game doled out the power points too slowly to enjoy some of the later skills you're able to capture in the game. Last, we have what we call our action junkie category, and it should go without saying that any game we describe as a traditional style RPG is not really made for action junkies. I just wanted to take time to mention that even though it's a random encounter, turn-based combat affair, that the game does employ a very speedy auto battle system, which is great later in the game when you're exploring the world and fighting monsters that are much weaker than you. But even still, it's not going to be fast enough or action-paced enough to really win over any of our action junkies. At the end of the day, it's still a very traditional game. Now that we've covered the categories in detail, I wanted to leave you with a few pros and cons about the game in general, some takeaways if you will. Rather than rattle off a laundry list, I've got them there posted on the screen, but I did want to take a quick second to highlight the fact that side quests don't require backtracking to reap the rewards, which was awesome, and the completion time pro. Completion time for me in the game was about 15 hours, and that was to do everything minus one of the bonus dungeons. And that time was just right. It was enough time for me to feel like I got my money's worth out of the game, but not for the game to wear out its welcome, because ultimately Doom and Destiny is a very simplistic game, and anything over about 15 to 20 hours in the game would probably start to drag on a bit. So here's the bottom line, friends. If you fall into our Bookworm or our Explorers categories, I believe that Doom and Destiny is a must-play for you. Definitely get a hold of it either on Xbox Live or on Steam if it's been green-lighted by the time you're watching this review. Also, if you've already played the game, please leave us some commentary about your experience with it. And with that said, it's been a pleasure, everybody. Again, I'm B. Chambers from Alloy7.com, signing off until next time. Peace and Godspeed.